Hi everyone, my name is Tammy Summerlin and I'm an English instructor at Wilson Community College. Thank you for joining us for the 12th and 13th Annual Award Ceremony for the Wilson Literary Review Contest.
Good afternoon. My name is Tim Wright, and on behalf of the college, I'd like to welcome all of you joining us for the Wilson Community College Literary Review event of 2021. As you may know, we were unable to hold this event last year because of COVID, so we're very happy to bring the event back this year. We'd like particularly to thank the Gardner Chase Endowment Fund and the folks behind it for their generosity, which makes this event possible. First of all, congratulations to all of the winners for your great work that you submitted and were judged to be worthy of the awards. And we'd like to thank all the participants as well. As it so happens, I am a former longtime English teacher, so I am a fan of the arts, and I look forward to this event with great interest every year. Finally, the community college system and Wilson Community College have three main missions that are laid out for it. One is, of course, straightforward education, as you might expect. Another is economic development for our community. And a third, which we're not resourced as well as we'd like to be for, is for things like this literary review ceremony. It is cultural enrichment for our community. And we do as much of that as we can, and I guess the literary review is one of the probably foremost pieces of that work that we do every year. So again, we're very happy to bring it back this year. Congratulations to everybody. Thank you again, and I hope you enjoy this event as you view it.
13 years ago, the Wilson Literary Review was produced as a creative endeavor by the Wilson Community College Foundation and the Wade A. Gardner Jr. and Lonnie M. Chase Endowment for the Humanities. Each year since its creation, this magazine has published and grown to encourage students and employees to express themselves with works that are both creative and provocative, while also providing as an outlet for the literary and artistic expression across campus. This past year has been a different experience for all of us and for the magazine. Due to the pandemic, we delayed publication of the 2019 and 2020 volume, and we were unable to recognize winners and those published with our traditional awards luncheon for this year and for last. Instead, we decided to host virtually, and we are combining ceremonies for both years into one. Despite the pandemic, we still had a high number of submissions for publication, which includes submissions from not only our traditional college students, but also our Wilson Early College, Watt, and CCP students from local Wilson County high schools. Each year, and especially this year and last, those who are published should feel honored by being selected for such a prestigious publication such as the Wilson Literary Review. Through the continued contributions and many avenues which make this publication possible, we hope to enable the creativity of Wilson Community College students and employees for years to come. Our guest judge for this year and last is Dr. Liza Whelan. She is currently a professor at East Carolina University, and she focuses her research on creative writing, the contemporary British and American novel, and Emily Dickinson. Dr. Whelan received her BA from Harvard University and her MA and PhD from Columbia University. She is the author of 8 books, which consist of 3 collections of short fiction, 4 novels, and a volume of poems. She has won the Michigan Literary Fiction Prize, 2 Pushcart Prizes, a Bridport Prize in the United Kingdom, and fellowships from the National Endowment of the Arts, the North Carolina Arts Council, and the Christopher Isherwood Foundation. Recently, she was awarded a 2nd fellowship from the North Carolina Arts Council. I am so thrilled that she agreed to serve as our judge for the 12th and 13th volumes.
I'm Liza Whelan. I teach creative writing at East Carolina University, and I was pleased to serve as judge for the 2020, 2021, and for the 2019-2020 artwork and literary contests. And I'd like to announce the winners. For the 2019-2020 artwork contest, the first winner was Carla Damphy for her work Monochromatic. And I really admired the play of light and shadow. It's stunning. I think the photo reminds me of the work of Ansel Adams.
Hi, my name is Carla Danfy, and I'm a student at Wilson Community College. My major is in Early Childhood Education Administration. My 2019-2020 literary magazine submission is a black and white photograph entitled Monochromatic Cornet. It is an up-close photograph that I took of this door reef. I took the picture using my LG V40 phone, which has an 18.9 by 9 aspect ratio. I used an editing program to turn the photograph black and white. My inspiration for doing this piece is my fondness of abstract art.
In second place, Self-Reflection by Caitlin Engel. Though the subject is a flower arrangement, the photo feels like a metaphorical rendering of what many of us see in the mirror these days.
Hi, my name is Caitlin Engel. I graduated from Wilson Community College in the Wilson Early College Academy in 2020. My piece is titled Self-Reflection, and it's a photography piece. I have like a vase of flowers that I keep in my vanity. And so they were sitting in front of there, and I was just messing around with my camera one day. And it was like, wow, that would make a really cool picture. So I took it, and then I'm like, well, if everything else was in black and white and the roses are in focus and then they're red, how cool would that be? So I edited the photo. I took it on my Canon Rebel T6i, and then I edited it on my phone with Google Snapseed. And then I selected the different color balances, and it turned out way better than I expected. And I titled it Self-Reflection because people usually see themselves in the mirror as like more black and white, no color, no gray areas, and then the roses themselves are red. So it's just kind of like one of those think pieces, where you're the roses, you don't think you're all red and pretty and shiny, and you're actually very beautiful, red, shiny, and the only thing in focus.
Third prize goes to Sunflowers by Bethany Gurley. And I think it just is such a wonderful play of colors. The winners for the 2019-2020 written contest are first prize, The Man with Technicolor Eyes by Christopher Long. I really thought this story was amazing. It was original and sustained. The narrative kept me going, kept me interested in what was going to happen next.
Well, yes, that was certainly. The late night talk show host struggled for the words to say, looking over to his co-host in a desperate fit of help to describe the confusing stew of what he had just seen. It was certainly eye-opening, the co-host chimed in, causing the crowd to pan out into a fit of nervous laughter. The guest was confused, looking over to the co-host, whom the camera focused on intensely. The guest waited for questions or comments about the excerpt from his new documentary. Instead, he was greeted to a cheap joke from the co-host as the guest turned bright red in embarrassment. "I see what you did there, Kane," the host laughed nervously, praying for his theme song to chime in any second. The tune finally played out, and the host breathed a sigh of relief and said, "We'll be right back." Up next, NBA legend and Hall of Famer Chris Webber on his new Michigan State Fab Five tell-all book, Through the Web, and later performing her new single, Inside Out, Shayla Day. The audience cheered thunderously. All this and more coming up here tonight. The producer waved his hand as the curtain closed. The host took a big breath and looked over to his co-host Kane and said, "That was the worst 2 minutes of this show's history. Wow, I can't believe that just happened. Julian?" The guest peeked up from his seat, sweating and embarrassed. "Are you doing any other shows this week?" "Never mind, don't answer that. I don't want to know." "Right, well, if you are, I suggest you do the network a favor and cancel those appearances. Monty, I'm taking 5. The host stormed off, loosening his tie. "You've got 90 seconds, the producer called back, rather monotone. The host rolled his eyes and said, "Monty, I'm taking 90 seconds. A stage guided Julian Madoff, the self-proclaimed man with technicolor eyes, off stage quickly. They were soon in a side room with the country pop star Shayla Day. "Is it true?" Shayla asked through her charming southern twang, looking up from her cell phone, smiling at the still red and flabbergasted Julian. "Miss Day, the man fumbled over his words as he fixed a crease in his blazer. "It's beautiful. It's something that I think you'll just have to watch the documentary." 6 identifiable colors no other person claims to be able to see. They're so beautiful. Are any of those colors on me? Like, can you see any of them when you look at my hair or my eyes? She asked. What do you see when you look at me? Miss Day, Julian smiled. Your eyes are that of the 4th color, blue and yellow all at the same time, but not at all green or golden. It's incredible. My God, it's awe-inspiring. I wish I could explain it better. That's incredible, she said, looking deep into the man's eyes. Miss Day, you're up next, the stagehand said, quickly pulling the musician out of the room. Julian smiled through the thick stew of awkward that was his appearance on Here Tonight. He looked down at his phone and saw he had a missed call from his agent. 2 missed calls and a text that read, Good Morning America dropped us for Friday morning. This was nothing different for Julian. This was what he knew. Since the release of his critically panned documentary, The Man with Technicolor Eyes, he had received nothing but skepticism, hate, and disbelief online. The documentary sought out to explain his condition and maybe help explain what these colors were, how he saw them, and how they worked. Finally, though he had just began to reach a breakthrough with his friends in the scientific community to explain and explore these 6 distinct colors that Julian claimed to see just after the documentary's release. To the average John or Jane, it sounded as ridiculous as the government being ran by lizard people, but that was only because they didn't understand. It all started with the mantis shrimp. Their eyes have 12 color receptors, whereas humans have but 3. When he was a young boy in southwestern Oregon, he unknowingly ingested these mantis shrimp nearly every night for dinner for the better part of over a dozen years. His father owned a shrimping boat and had been feeding his family not just shrimpy shrimp, but mantis shrimp. Julian's mother died his senior year of high school after dealing with pneumonia complications. His father had a heart attack shortly after. He was an only child. It was at his father's funeral that he noticed the first color. It was on the coffin, the dark stained oak box that contained the remains of Captain Seymour Madoff. In the grains of wood, Julian saw what he described to be like a smoke-filled silver pipe. Brown but not brown, not golden nor silver in color, but something he had never seen before. It was like a wet golden retriever smiling at the sky. He couldn't help but stare at it, not paying a lick of attention to the words of the pastor or the tears of his distant aunts and uncles. He stared at this box, the final resting place, with a sense of peace in the beauty he saw. After the funeral, Julian walked up to one of the funeral directors and asked what it was in the wood that gave it such a vibrant color. The funeral director, confused and smiling, replied with naming some brown lacquer. This was the moment Julian knew he saw something different. His eyes hurt for the next few days after that, but it was also during that time that he saw the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th colors. He was in absolute awe of this new world of color. That summer, he planned a trip to the Grand Canyon, and upon seeing it, he knew he had to share this gift with the world. It was the most pleasant moment of his life. The peace he felt looking over the sunset of the canyon, the wind ripening the colors he was still becoming accustomed to. But Julian Madoff, though, LOL, #fraud. Julian dreaded every time he opened his newsfeed. The latter portion of the tweet, like so many others, was bred in hate. #Technicolor was the #1 most searched item on Twitter. His face was blowing up on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Memes mocking him started making the rounds based off his sweaty and nervous demeanor on Here Tonight. Julian was sulking, realizing he'd become a failure when his girlfriend from back home in Oregon called as he was reading over his publisher's text once more. Hey, beautiful, Julian said, closing his eyes to picture the face matching the voice. Julian. Her tone was bleak and serious. I trust all went well with the late night show, so that's why I wanted to tell you now, while everything was going well, so that this would be easier. Julian, I'm leaving you. Everything happening online, I can't be associated with that. I've already packed my things, and I'll be gone when you get back. Goodbye, Julian. The phone call ended. The last piece of his light in the world was faded. Just then, he received another text from his publisher. We gotta do damage control, kid. Better text me back soon or else the agency is gonna drop you. Julian threw his phone against the wall as tweets continued to bombard him. The world he had built was now crumbling around him. Julian was seeing a new seventh color he had not seen before. It was awful, gory and dark. A faint smell of decay accompanied the new color that now lined the walls of the once blue room. He sat in a chair in the back of the room, with the show now beginning to wrap up as Shayla Day's new single began to play on the TV in the background. "I can't take this anymore," Julian said, breaking down into tears. "I've been berated for trying to share something beautiful with the world. Something no one else believes I can see. Enough! I'll share the gift." He jumped from his chair, screaming at the awfully colored walls. "They want to see something, I'll give them something to see." Julian spoke out in a fit of rage, growing louder and louder. You, damn you all! You want to see what I see? Take my curse from me. Have it all!" Julian jammed his thumbs into his eye sockets and dug deeply, making a scooping motion. He resisted the urge to scream out in pain as his vision went blurry before fading out completely. Liquid dropped from the mushed holes where his eyes were. He wasn't sure if it was blood, tears, or both. He ripped the two muscles, squished like grapes, with a small pool of liquid and held them in his hands. He fell to his knees in the most intense pain he had ever faced in his life. He gasped for air, but smiled. He smiled knowing that he finally saw that which everyone else saw, blind or sighted. He saw the darkness, the full, cold darkness of a new day, the only color that all people saw, the only color he would not have to explain. He began to laugh, almost maniacally, and then cried. Then again, it still could have just been the blood running down his cheeks from his eye sockets. Soon he passed out and never awoke again. Stage hands ran in, trying to see what all the commotion was about, and yelled out in horror before dialing 911. Julian died in that backstage room, having gone completely mad, ripping out his eyes. The Man with Technicolor Eyes became a 5-star documentary. Whether that has to do with his passing is still up for debate. Love poured out across the internet in the wake of his passing. His death became a mile marker for mental health. No matter the truth of his condition, whether he saw what he claimed to or not, the fatal flaw of the world's toxicity was in the irony that in the end, the man who saw the world more vibrantly than any other man in human history died seeing nothing at all. The Technicolor Eyes shut off forever.
Second prize, In Noctem in Silencio by Kira Unruh, which I thought was a very, very moving poem.
He fell through the darkness like the morning star eons before. Bright and blinding he streaked across the heavens. The lost looked to him for guidance, the caged looked to him for hope. The last light to glow in the eternal darkness, he was a beacon for the watchers, a sign for the knowing. As he burned bright in his fall, a raging fire burning down, never to be seen again, they all watched him as he fell alone in the night. After the fall came the quiet. Alone in the darkness, no light in the end of it, no spark to show a sign. All that had seemed so bright before was dark after the plunge. There was no knowing of what had happened by the end, and so the night began, and a long night it was, without a hint of the beginning dawn. The longer it went, the darker it grew, and hope eternal was but a glowing ember. Once a blazing light in the darkest hours, a hand reached out pale and solitary with a voiceless plea in the silence.
Third prize goes to Black Girl by Autumn Ray, which seemed to me an excellent use of tone and perception to capture the experience of the speaker.
I am a black girl. I wonder if my skin was lighter, would life be better? I heard dark skin is unattractive. I see lighter skin being complimented. I want to be lighter. I am a black girl. I pretend to be okay in my skin. I feel unaccepted. I touch my skin. I worry no one will like me. I cry when no one is around. I'm a black girl. I understand that everyone's made different. I say my skin is how God made me. I dream that one day I'll gain confidence. I try to tell myself my skin is beautiful. I am a black girl.
The 2019-2020 Written Contest Employee Group goes to Susan Moses. I was so moved by this poem, which seems to speak from deep, deep in the heart.
Lev Shemaiah, which means listening heart in Hebrew. And here it is. I wish I could climb inside your head and just listen. Would it cure all my ills or create a new catastrophe? Would I love you more? Would I hate you less? Would I be bored? Would I be jealous? Would I fall into your stream of infinite thoughts and drown? Would I float along the river of your consciousness, dipping my head under now and then, languishing in the sounds of a lover's voice? Would I die for pearls of hot milky wisdom, or lie stranded on a reef, lost in a never-ending expanse of sea? Would I freeze in a frigid Arctic tomb, looking through a fractured crystal sky, or boil, red and blistered, in that hot spring of your mind? I wish I could climb inside your head and just listen, to drown in your grief, to kneel in the light of your faith, to let your burdens overtake me, to allow your wretchedness to destroy my peace, so that your grace could heal me, so that your love would surprise me.
The 2020-2021 artwork prizes go to first, Clean by Esteban Arizpe. This really sums up last year, and black and white is perfect choice for this photograph.
My name is Esteban Arizpe. I'm a paramedic for the county. The photo was inspired by the pandemic. In healthcare, we have a lot of problems with that. We're having issues where not only we're worried about people we're taking care of, we're worried about ourselves, and we're worried about bringing it home to our family, our loved ones who aren't involved. So the camera that I used was actually my cell phone. Honestly, I just set it at a kitchen table that I had, and I knew that I wanted to try to get the best photo that I could. So it took several shots, several attempts for decent lighting, and changing the filters that I think kind of fit the mood. The thought process with this was what is normal for us now: Lysol, masks, clean. What a different version of clean. Before, clean was simply washing your hands and making sure we're not spreading germs too much. But now we have a bigger fear with this pandemic, and it's come to real to hit a lot of people at home.
Second prize goes to Matt Eatman for Loneliness, and I really love the mirroring effect between the moon and the coconut. The photo makes beauty out of loneliness.
My name is Matthew Eaton, and I'm a photographer. This summer, I had the opportunity to go to the beach a lot, and while I was down there, there was this coconut that we found, which was strange because coconuts don't really grow in North Carolina beaches. So me and my friends, we were messing around with the coconut, we were tossing around, and then I was like, I want to get a couple pictures with it. So I laid it down in this path, and it was like a beautiful shot with the coconut right there, and then like the path of the beach, and then the moon in the sky. And it was really nice.
What kind of camera did you use? Was it like your phone, or do you have your phone camera?
I used my phone camera, yeah. There's a little bit of editing. I wanted to blur like the background a little bit and have the coconut kind of like clear. So that's what I did.
And third prize to Ian Rose for Pretty. This artist is clearly a hardworking, talented, and imaginative illustrator.
Hi, my name is Ian Rose, and I submitted the piece titled Pretty. This piece was done digitally on my computer, and I did a couple of the touch-ups with my phone. Some inspirations or reasons I drew this is because usually my favorite things to draw is like busts of random people. And as I said, most of the time they're just random people, they don't exist, they're just made up. But for some reason this one resembles the singer SZA, which is kind of funny. This is also when I started to experiment with a painterly style on digital art because I actually really like traditional painting. But if I were to redraw this, there'd be like a couple things here and there that I would change. For example, the hair, I'd probably make it more realistic instead of just putting a pattern overlay over it. But other than that, I am really proud of this piece and I'm glad it placed.
For the 2020-2021 written contest, First prize goes to Self-Love by Shakoria Artis. I love the specifics and the imagery in this poem.
To be held in the middle of the night and kissed under the stars is an understatement. To be told, baby, I love you, and kissed on your forehead repeatedly until you're both old and gray is an exaggeration. To believe that death on earth doesn't compare to the smile on my face when I see you in heaven is sensation. Love is a drug in the infatuation of life. Imagination is a window into the future if only you can believe one day this could be true. True just to find out true love is in you.
Second prize goes to Police Brutality by Delnidra Horton. This poem passes through so many emotions and arrives, quite surprisingly, at a bit of hope.
Police brutality. I am tired. We are tired. Can we be a hoe? You constantly, unlawfully judge us. All men are created equal. You lie to us. Unapologetically, must you hate what you see? Police brutality. I, she, he, we are tired. The sloth speaks. I did nothing wrong. Hands up, don't speak, move slow, as if we are all under your control. Don't hurt us, please. Your time is up. It's time for a change. I will make a change. We will make a change. Together.
And third prize goes to The Year 2020 by Landon Lucas. This poem really captures the hopelessness and hopefulness, really, of the past year.
The year 2020. From chaos to caring, from oblivious to observant, vigilant to vaccine, indifferent to involved, and desperate to determined.
In the 2020-2021 artwork contest for employees, the prize goes to Courtney Williford for Calm Fury, which achieves a beautiful pointillist effect. The animal is still but menacing.
Hello everyone, I'm Courtney Williford and I work in the Student Development Department here at Wilson Community College. I would like to give a little background on my artwork. This piece was actually done years ago, shortly after I graduated from high school. While taking art classes in school, I discovered pointillism and found it to be my favorite technique. The technique was developed in the 1880s by George Seurat and Paul Signet, and used dots of pure colors very close together, so that when seen from a distance, the eye blends the colors together. In my piece, instead of using color, I used only black from a felt tip pen and created depth and shadow by placing the dots either close together or far apart. There was no real profound inspiration for the piece. I was looking through a National Geographic magazine and saw a picture of a beautiful mountain lion, so I cut it out and kept it. It was only later that I decided to turn it into a pointillism art piece.
Congratulations to all the winners, and I really enjoyed reading and looking at your work.
If you'd like to order a copy of the 12th or 13th volume of the Wilson Literary Review, contact the Wilson Community College Foundation at 252-246-1271 or email Jessica Griffin at jgriffin@wilsoncc.edu.